Trump is in the Middle East. Yes, he's doing a big grand tour. He's doing a lot of stuff. He's been a busy dude. Last 24 hours, 72 hours, 96 hours, whatever. So, I mean, he's doing things. I really haven't heard too much negative about a lot of it. There's the big beautiful bill or whatever. That's kind of, I've heard a lot of negative things about that because it doesn't do anything to our deficit and debt and all that. So I totally get that and agree. But he's signing big deals in Saudi Arabia. He's setting up meetings with Zelensky and Putin, hopefully. He's really kind of thrown off the Israelis and kind of made everybody else come to the table. One person put it, they said, his foreign policy is basically go with the flow. And I see a lot of truth to that. He is going with the flow. If he doesn't get it one way, he goes another. If he doesn't get it another way, he goes another. He just follows it wherever it takes him, and he does it. And I got to tell you, if you're in the TDS camp, if you're team I hate Trump, or he's the anti-you-know-what and all that, you're not having a good week. So markets are up, deals are being done, peace is being made, conflicts are ending or trying to be ended. I mean, it really, honestly, is there's not a lot of negative right now. So whenever that happens, it's like, when you have a prepper channel, you do better when you have negative things, and the other side of the aisle does better when he screws up, when he's, chaotic in his trade deals and there's tariffs and yada, yada. All that's getting worked out. So they're kind of scratching their head. I mean, there literally was like a lady on, I think, MSNBC or something that was getting mad that the stock market and the financials are going in a positive way. So, I just want to see things go well. I worry about the debt, the deficit. So I think that needs to be a major focus. But maybe they're just getting other things going right now. I don't know. He did say he was going to pass $1 trillion defense budget. I don't like that. But I mean, honestly, all in all, if you really just take a normal look at everything, he's doing pretty good. He's having a good week. And that good week is hopefully going to parlay to the Americans and our country and help us avoid a recession or avoid conflict or whatever. I mean, that's what we want. We want peace. We want prosperity. We want all these things that will make our lives better, to make it's safer for our children and everything else. So we'll see. It's good right now, and it can change on a dime. So there's some negative, but there's a good amount of positive. So for all those that are suffering from the Trump derangement syndrome, I apologize. I'm sorry that things are not going your way right now, but be patient. He's a human, and he will mess up. So you'll have something for you, some fodder. Anyway, let's get started on your crisis report. May 13th, 2025. Here we go. Oh, let's see what this sounds like to you. This isn't the can. This is the bottle. Hold on. Here we go. Just doesn't have the same pop. There's something magic about a can of soda. Bush. Berry flavor. Okay. Got a deal on it. Got a deal. I did. Got a deal. All right, here we go. Here's your intel. I don't think I'm going to go to PrepperNow tonight. I think I need to go to bed. I need a good solid sleep. So give me about 25 minutes of your time and we'll be good. Here we go. Netanyahu says Israeli military will enter Gaza with full force in the coming days to destroy Hamas, and there will be no situation where we stop the war. Trump signs a strategic economic partnership with Saudi Arabia. Trump says that China has agreed to open up the United States for trade and everything else. Israel military says it has conducted a precise strike on Hamas terrorists beneath the European hospital in Gaza, reported that the massive strike was an attempt to assassinate Hamas leader Mohammed Sinwar. We don't have absolute confirmation about that, but that is kind of a bigger story going on. Trump says the United States will lift sanctions on Syria to give the country a chance at greatness. Elon Musk has greeted President Trump and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman inside the Saudi royal court. Saudi Arabia is trying to kiss President Trump's backside as much as possible, yes, of course. So they finally deployed a mobile McDonald's restaurant for Trump's visit. Yes, they had a nice McDonald's there, a little trailer, and mobile Big Macs for all. Netanyahu announced in front of the reserve soldiers that Israel is going in all-in war on Gaza. Coming days, we will go in with full force, complete the mission, and defeat Hamas in Gaza. So there's a negative. Superiority of Chinese weapons in Pakistan-India conflict has been raised alarm in Asia, according to Bloomberg. Success of Chinese jets against India has raised alarm in Asia and challenged long-held perceptions of the inferiority of Chinese weapons compared to Western ones, media wrote. Pakistan dropped a lot of the Indian planes, and the Indian planes, I don't think, dropped too many of the Pakistani. Now, when it came time to it, India definitely dropped the hammer and had the upper hand. But as it pertains to just a straight-off dogfight, the JS-10, I believe it is called, the Chinese version, their 6th-gen fighter, was superior. So there's concern. All right, here we go. Saudi Arabia announced to invest $600 billion in the United States. Emmanuel Macron, after months of supporting Israel with weapons, said what Benjamin Netanyahu is doing is a disgrace. It's tragedy, it's horrible, he said about the situation in Gaza. He asserts that it's not up to him to call it a genocide, but rather up to specialists and historians. The universe is dying quicker than thought, says new research. So I guess it's going to die in 1 million years instead of like 1.5 million, if that's real. Nissan posts 4.5 billion annual net loss, saying it's going to cut 20,000 jobs. Kremlin on Tuesday declined to comment when asked about Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, calling for Vladimir Putin to attend peace talks in Istanbul on Thursday. United States inflation has fallen to 2.3%, lower than expected. Apple wants people to control their devices with their thoughts. Apple has new tech intended to enable people to control their iPhones and other devices with neural signals captured by a new generation of brain implants, according to the Wall Street Journal. That is a hard pass from this person. Trump says he's getting a $1 trillion military budget approved. China has removed a month-long ban on airlines taking delivery of Boeing planes following a breakthrough in trade talks with the United States. The resumption of the deliveries to China will be an immediate boost to Boeing, with around 50 Boeing jets to be delivered to China this year. Mikhail Podolak, advisor to Zelensky, said that Zelensky will not meet with any Russian representative in Istanbul, except for Putin. It's been a big question. Pope Leo XIV will visit Ukraine. Pope Francis never visited Ukraine. That is the source of La Repubblica. By the way, Pope Leo has two brothers, and they are, let's just say that Facebook might take them down for some of the memes and stuff they're sharing. United States President Donald Trump doesn't drink the local coffee offered to him during his visit to Saudi Arabia. Qahwa, a spiced Arabic coffee, is a staple of Saudi hospitality. He dissed him. Someone called CNN. He dissed him. German Defense Minister Pistorius says that Putin is behaving as usual, will need to take further steps regarding sanctions and weapons deliveries to Ukraine. Meanwhile, unconfirmed reports from Russian sources claim Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov will lead Russian delegation at the May 15th talks in Istanbul. Presidential aide Yuri Uzhakov will also be part of the delegation. Germany bans the far-right group Königreich Deutschland for attempting to create a counter-state within Germany. Police raided properties in 7 states, arresting 4, including the group's self-declared monarch, Peter Fischek. Zelensky's chief of staff, Andrei Yermak, says Putin's refusal to participate in the negotiations in Turkey will be the last signal of Russia's unwillingness to end the war. Back-channel talks that led to the release of Edan Alexander began when a Hamas official reached out to Bashara Bakhpa, a former leader of Arab Americans for Trump. In late April, a Hamas official outside Gaza contacted Bakhpa to open a line to Trump envoy Steve Witkoff. Around 20 messages were exchanged in the following weeks, with Bakhpa also speaking directly to Hamas negotiator Khalil al-Khaya. On Sunday night, Hamas formally agreed to release Alexander, and that's how they did it. Germany's merits: if there is no progress this week on Ukraine's ceasefire, they will move to increase sanctions on Russia. New sanctions on Russia will cover energy and financial markets. Trump envoy Steve Witkoff and Keith Kellogg to travel to Istanbul for Russia-Ukraine talks. Russia is recruiting about 50 to 60,000 volunteers into its army each month. Zelensky says we received a signal from China that they support a 30-day ceasefire. Putin does not want an end of the war, a truce, or negotiations, according to Zelensky. Trump's Ukraine envoy Kellogg says the United States is discussing the deployment of forces of Great Britain, France, Germany, and Poland to the west of the Dnieper as part of the Ukrainian settlement. I don't know if Russia's going to take that. Trump's Ukraine envoy Kellogg: the U.S. is discussing the deployment of forces of Great Britain. Yep, we've already covered that one. Is that a double? That's a doubler. Sorry. U.S. Senator Tim Sheehy says Pakistan appears to have won every engagement so far with Chinese technology against the largely Western technology used by India, and that's not good. China is no longer a near-peer competitor, but rather a peer-to-peer competitor with the U.S. Very concerning to those in the defense industry. Israel fears that the Trump administration is not working to curb Turkish President Erdogan's statements against Israel. That's according to Yedioth Ahronoth. Trump has threatened to cut off Iranian oil supplies to zero and bankrupt the country if Tehran abandons the nuclear deal. Clash Report, good channel, very pro-Turkey, from Turkey, but good stuff. They have learned that from Ukrainian sources that President Zelensky has not yet departed from Turkey, contradicting earlier reports from Reuters. Russia is preparing for a much larger offensive against Ukraine, moving forces to key hotspots on the front, according to FT. Kremlin says that they have not yet disclosed the composition of the Russian delegation at the talks in Istanbul. Turkish President Erdogan confirmed during a call with Italian Prime Minister Meloni that Turkey is ready to host negotiations to stop the war in Ukraine. Senior former Kremlin official speaking to Washington Post, Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov and Putin's foreign policy aide, Ushakov, will represent Russia in talks in Turkey. United States State Department says we will not accept the departure of Palestinians from the Gaza Strip unless it is voluntary. So if Netanyahu's been talking about moving them out, but doing it in a kind of not your own volition kind of way. So we'll see. France is ready to discuss the deployment of aircraft armed with nuclear bombs in other European countries, according to Mr. Macron. Iran will hold talks in Istanbul on Friday with European parties to the nuclear deal. President of South Africa calling white South African colonizers and implying we should be grateful we weren't chased out of South Africa. He then goes on to say that refugees fleeing South Africa because of race-based persecution and the legal racial discrimination against them are leaving because they want apartheid back. Don't think so. Large wave of Israeli airstrikes using bunker buster bombs targeted the vicinity of the European hospital in Khan Yunis, southern Gaza. Strikes aimed at Hamas leader Mohammed Sinwar, the brother of former Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. Result of the strikes remains unclear. Trump has decided not to rename the Persian Gulf the Arabian Gulf after Iran reportedly threatened to pull out of the negotiations, according to CNN. Houthis have dealt a major blow to the U.S. and its allies' reputation. America has the world's greatest military budget. The Houthis have nothing, and still they won a decisive victory over the U.S., and here's how. Reapers ripped. One more advanced U.S. MQ-9 Reaper recently shot down over to the Houthis. A total of 8 such drones, whopping $30 million each, so $250 million, have been destroyed by Houthi groups in less than 6 weeks. Houthi militants also managed to obliterate U.S. MQ-1 Predator drones in 2 separate attacks in 2019 and 2022. Each and every such UAV costs about $20 million. Air blockade of Israel. The Houthis continue their comprehensive air blockade against Israel, the closest U.S. ally in the Middle East. Houthi fighters conduct the anti-Israel air siege almost all by themselves. Houthis claim to have staged attacks on the USS Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier and its escorting warships in the Red Sea in April. The attacks came after the Houthis targeted U.S. Navy destroyers Stockdale and O'Kane area late last year. Horner's last buzz. U.S. lost an F/A-18 Super Hornet, or the Hornet's last buzz. Fighter jet worth more than $60 million last month. Planes rolled into the Red Sea from the Harry Truman aircraft carrier as the vessel was dodging a Houthi attack. on the deck, no less. All right, this is Amir Sarfati about Donald J. Trump's latest term. I want to be very clear, DJT, even on a bad day, is 1,000 times better than Kamala Harris is on a good one. Few poor decisions regarding foreign affairs stemming from a lack of misunderstanding of the Middle East and its culture, and not enough to question the election. I hope someone close to him will soon advise him to reassess his approach to Turkey, Iran, and Qatar. As for Israel, I trust in God's plan, and I'm not worried at all. Israel will soon defeat Hamas. My Redeemer is the Lion of the tribe of Judah. He will reign from Jerusalem, where one day all nations will come annually to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles. I'm not worried about Israel, but about those who fail to understand their duty and to stand by it. So, 58 hostages are still in Gaza. After Edan Alexander's release, 58 remain on Hamas's grip, 20 alive, 3 unknown, 35 dead. Time is running out, but God is mighty to save. Continue to pray and share this infographic, which will be online when we're done here. 58 hostages still in Gaza, blah, 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 blah. Yep. Sorry, I moved on. Doctors have found a small nodule in former President Joe Biden's prostate during a recent physical exam. So hopefully Joe's okay. We don't hate him. We just disagree with his policies. And we wish him the best. Wish him a speedy recovery. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene claims that Israel and the United States are concealing the true Epstein files. House Democrats are set to force a vote on President Trump's impeachment. The United States government assumes control of Rikers Island prison in New York. That is one of the worst, gosh, at least in America. So, I used to look at that thing when I was going over the Whitestone Bridge. Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Hannah Dugan has been indicted for obstruction and hiding a person from arrest after assisting an illegal immigrant in evading law enforcement. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has issued an executive order that restricts the collection and sharing of autism-related data, creating a major obstacle to RFK Jr.'s efforts to uncover the root causes of the condition. Large wave of Israeli airstrikes using bunker-busted bombs targeted the vicinity of the European hospital in Khan Yunis, southern Gaza. Strikes aimed at Hamas leader Mohammed Sinwar, brother of former Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. Result of the strike remains unclear. Just in, federal judge gives Trump permission to continue deportations under the Alien Enemies Act. Tripoli edges towards destructive urban warfare as the GNU-aligned forces exploit SSA's collapse to move in against the SDF. Tonight, MOD's 444-111, the Joint Force and GSA are targeting SDF positions across Ain Zara, Sabah, and near Jaraba, setting the stage for a bloody confrontation. Columns of the Russian-backed Libyan National Army moving away from Benghazi in eastern Libya to the western areas of Libya towards the de jure Libyan capital Tripoli, local media reports. GNU military reinforcements from Misrata are steadily arriving in Tripoli, signaling preparations for a potential escalation in the ongoing operation against S&A, or SSA, sorry, Stability Support Apparatus. Sources: against the GNU is entering the second phase of its campaign, which may include urban clearing operations, oof, those are tough, perimeter tightening, and expanded search and detain missions across southern Tripoli districts. Tensions remain high on the ground as armored convoys, technical and infantry units moving into staging zones. Clashes have been reported sporadically, but major confirmations could resume at any moment. DOJ pardons attorney Ed Martin, preparing to launch an investigation into the Joe's last-minute auto pen pardons, claiming they were unusually tailored for certain individuals. America is astonished by the blooming Eurofascism. The United States is panicking. Celebrations for the 80th anniversary of the victory in World War II Day, given reason, and they reflect on the cost of its victory and what Europe is becoming decades later, writes the Federalist. After the USA saved the continent from the tyranny of the Nazis, they ensured its security for decades. But today, the author claims Europe itself is turning into an authoritarian nightmare. German Domestic Intelligence Agency has labeled the alternative for Germany as far right and placed on them the same level of bloodthirsty terrorists. A French court has banned the leader of the Rassemblement National, Marine Le Pen, from running for the French presidency for 5 years. Romanian government has annulled the result of the presidential elections due to alleged, air quotes, Russian interference. So, Zuck is building a new surveillance state. Imagine that. Welcome to the open air dragnet, folks. Zuckerberg recently took to Instagram to boost nearly 1 billion people now use Meta AI across the company's platforms. He announced the launch of a new standalone app, encouraging users to check it out. Sounded innocuous, almost cleaning, as if he is. There we go. U.S. Customs and Border Protection plans to photograph everyone exiting the United States by car. They're locking this place down, and it's going to be for everyone exiting the U.S. by car. They're locking this place down via wire. They say that United States Customs and Border Patrol plans to log every person leaving the country by vehicle by taking photos of nearby border crossings of every passenger and matching their faces to their passports, visas, or travel documents, Wired has learned. And that is it. There's your crisis report. May 13th, 2025. Thanks so much for being here. Please hit that like button, darken out the bell. Does help. Okay, really does. But that's it. So, friends, hit the like button and all that. Find the links in the description. Darken out the bell, get the notifications, and we will see you on the next one. God bless you all, and keep prepping.